happy to repeat the news that we have in fact caught and killed a large predator that supposedly injured some bathers. But as you see, it's a beautiful day, the beaches are open, and people are having a wonderful time. Amity, as you know, means friendship.
Amity, as you know, means friendship. Number 5, Amity Island for Gary Siaka and Louis Saez. They're going to be closing into a fast pace at a nice price. Let's get lucky in the play of the day, Amity Island.
And Tiz the Law has the lead at the top of the stretch. It is Tiz the Law in front with 3/16 to the finish. Tiz the Law has a 4-length lead. He's left the others behind.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The Leah Auto Group, Leah Cars for life. Find them on the web at leahcars.com. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State. And the Clubhouse Racebook. Can't make it to the track? Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of Racing Across America. Brian Nadeau, Anthony Mormino, right back to battle with you after a little handicap
Just have Mick
report.
add like parentheses or something. You know how some books
back
have a
or
second
something?
title or something? Gamblers Edition or something
Gamblers
like that.
Edition on Thursday.
Since we seem to take a different
That's what we
left-hand-
do. And as Anthony said to me right before we were coming on the air, what we did not do on Racing Across America,
on Handicappers Report.
on Handicappers Report, is kick off the second half of the meet.
Today,
Day
right
21.
here.
My goodness. So we're going to get into this is the Gamblers version, which I love, by the way, that we're doing this. And I've heard a lot of positives from people around, just in and about, saying they like kind of what we're doing and what we're doping out here, ticket construction and your tries and my pick fives and stuff.
Well,
so we'll get into that.
I will say, as this game is probably hard to do kind of like what we do in the mornings, because we do all of our stuff and everything, but it's the part that we do here is really the part of the game that I've said this before, and I will say that probably Breeders' Cup Day is the only day that I do it, and that is, I don't know there's supposed to be a 50-50 ratio, but there's supposed to be a close correlation to the amount of time you spend handicapping and the amount of time you think about writing tickets. And I can't tell you through the years how often, and this was long before I had any public persona, and people, you could tell by their conversation in between races, were beginning to think of how they wanted to bet. And listen, I understand that. Not everybody has the time or gets paid, etc. I said, but as a handicapping tool for you, you got to, I don't know, make it at least 80-20, 70-30. It can't be 95-5. And I think it's 95-5 for 90% of the audience that, when I get to the Breeders' Cup, I take one of those elongated legal pads that I have here, and I have the exacta page because I'm a horizontal. I have trifectas. I have supers that I can't afford. And I spend almost the time between post position draws when we get the numbers. I'm already done with the handicapping.
Right.
Now, generally speaking, the turf mile, the post position draw, somebody gets killed, but I'll spend after the official program numbers are up and the morning line has been dealt out, which Breeders' Cup weekend it's almost immaterial. You're going to get a good price on 80 to 90% of the horses. So, but then I spend those 2 days, because usually we go to the track on Friday. So Wednesday and Thursday of here we go. Yeah. How are we going to? Now, it's easier for me because I'm not a horizontals. I think horizontals would take even longer.
Yeah.
If then A, B's, and C's. Matter of fact, if you were to invite me to dinner Thursday night in the greater San Diego area, I would pick up dinner. Your dinner. If 14 of us show up, I'm not pulling up everybody's, but we can go to a very nice place. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse looks out on the water, by the way.
The hell with dinner? Would you just pick us up? That would serve. That would serve its purpose too.
And just to how on Breeders' Cup Day, particularly Saturday, but even future day, a horizontal on Breeders' Cup Day. I'm telling you,
this is a Breeders' Cup kind of sequence today, so it's a good. We'll talk about it at the last part. I had Michael Baychuk right here yesterday, and one of the last things he brought up, and we talked about it, was he said, "I wish I was a better." This is an NHC champion, by the way, and he said, "I wish I was a better ticket construction guy than better." And I'm glad I brought him. Glad you got me to bring him up, because I wanted to say thank you to him and Kim Weir. And they had, and Peter Thomas Fornatal, they had that awesome function for the TRF yesterday. Seth was just out here, saw him, saw a lot of people over there. It was a great benefit and fundraiser. They do a tremendous job, Gumbo, for the horses. Seth wanted me to mention the low roller today. I think he's going to be signing autographs, I think he said, for the low roller. He is Mr. Low Roller. Thursday and Sunday, the low roller today.
But he's Mr. Roller in that he was ahead of the curve, always did it.
Absolutely.
And he was right. The amount of publicity he gave it first, he was 100% right. There's two things Seth has been way ahead of the curve on, was promoting that, and Seth was way ahead of the curve about workouts at those sales. No one ever talked about it to me, Seth, so kudos to him. And these low rollers, Naira, great job, 2 days a week.
And before we get rolling with Seth, we're going to, at the end of this show, we're going to air a piece where Seth sat down with the Big A, Anthony Stabile of Naira, and Pat McKenna joins in a little bit as well. And Stabile is kind of rehosting breakfast at Saratoga. You can go early, watch the workouts, kind of get a little idea of how it all goes down in the morning, and I
how
know
beautiful the
Mary
place is.
Ryan used to do that, right? So Anthony Stabile is kind of doing that, sat down with them, and they've got some good footage. The trams that go around the track, so we're going to see that at the end. Seth and those guys, and Pat McKenna, the director of communications, great guy.
Put the jigsaw puzzle together of how this became this place. It didn't become this place because the right raindrops fell on it. In the middle 70s, it was not the place to be. And there were many components. And the mornings here, the trams, packed with adults, not 8-year-olds, but adults going on it, wanting to get more and more. And I said to people, except for the fact that most often the sun is blaring in your eyes in the morning based on the way the building is constructed, because you wouldn't want that in the afternoon, you sit there and you're like, I've said to people, I'll jump over. Late in the afternoon, on this side of the racetrack, looking at that building, is one of the great
It's majestic.
pictures in the world, and certainly one of the greatest sport venues view, with the awning and even the great job they did with the 1863 club. And you look at it, and the sun starts to set behind the building. You're like, I say this, and yes, nowadays I get paid to come here, but you're like, man, I got to come here today.
Yeah, and sometimes I think you take it for granted that it's in your backyard, or and you don't realize you take a step back, and you have to kind of say to yourself, this is the greatest racing in the world. And so, again, you take it for granted, or you don't think about it because you grew up 20 minutes or 40 minutes away.
What we do.
What have you. And
people look at you like, you go to Saratoga?
Yeah, like, I've always wanted to go there.
I've ever told you my Marion Golf Club story?
No.
I'm down there in 09. It's about 7 a.m. in September. There can't be 75 people milling around the putting green, which is right next to the first tee box. And a gentleman comes up to me and says, I know you. And I clearly do not know this gentleman. He says, you're the guy that does the horse racing stuff in the morning from Saratoga.
That's awesome.
And I say to him, well, you're from Saratoga? You came down here? He goes, I'm from California.
That's awesome.
He was like, what's it like? I'm like, I don't know, I go there every day. But that was
great.
it. He's like, you get to go to Saratoga every day? Yeah, since
that's what
Ronald
we do.
Reagan was president.
That's what we do. All right, we also gamble, and that's what Thursday's
Well, that's it.
about.
That's what the Thursdays for us is.
And your replays have been good, and today you're really running the gamut today. You've got some.
Okay.
The boys in the truck go digging for these.
Well, yeah.
The first one is race 7. Okay?
Well, I gave him a warm up 2 days ago when I sent in replays.
Yeah, you were at 3:42 in the morning or something. The sickening thing was I was up when I got that email. I don't know who's worse. But race 7 is your first replay today. Number 4, Traffic Lane today. We're going to bring up the July 22nd race here.
And he'll be number 9.
And it was also race 7 that day. What are we looking at here in this third place finish? First time Rudy.
And we'll be the number 9 Rapoli Silks, which in this. He wants under Irad Ortiz because he doesn't go on with it.
Yeah, I was going to
He's like, and I'm like, okay.
Go on with it.
I would more like going on with it, but I'm not going to be in any Hall of Fame except hopefully our sons. But I'm like, you're outside, and you seem, when you can keep up on the turn on the outside, now I'm really thinking, how much of a lead could he have had? But he wasn't asked, I thought, as he pressed the pace
right
on
in
the
hand
outside.
here, taking over too.
Yeah, and he okay, I'm good. And I'm thinking, I actually think going 7, sometimes you get a little bit of a breather because no one could survive the punishing 3 furlongs up the backstretch and then the 2 turns. And I thought, considering the horse didn't go on the way I would have thought at 6, and he just loses the place photo, and I'm not so sure inside was better. But my suspicions were like, and I am not, I mean, I never ridden a horse, but I'm just saying, I think Irad Ortiz could have gotten any trip he would have wanted. And I'm hoping today at 7, that part where he was on the turn, keeping up with them, won't actually materialize today. That they'll all almost be like a breather for a furlong and a half. Because I think I'm getting a perfect trip in here, and I get Manny Franco for the first time for Rudy, and I was just like, I think we can improve off of that 7-2 defeat. And I'm 6-1 on the morning line, and this is the race where the favorite is 4-1 entry.
Great betting race.
My thinking is it's going to be a terrific trifecta race.
The other thing I want to note, too, before we move on to your next replay, is that the two horses you were pressing/chasing have yet to finish.
Right.
And when you watch replays, take note of where the other horses around your horse are and where they finish, especially if they're up front. This one Anthony just showed, the horse that was in front was basically eased across the line. Your gal was literally the only one within shouting distance that was involved early to be involved late. That just further exemplifies how big they ran.
And you take some conjecture that the pace was too much for them, and it didn't seem to be too much for my guy. I think my guy could have, I think the race could have been run differently. And I do think there's a big difference between 6 and 7. I think in this case, it plays to his advantage softer. That's my.
All right, next one is just the next race. And this is good because Anthony's got 3 replays in the late pick 4/pick 5. Race 8 today, Let Me Go, the 4.
Let me know.
Let me know, excuse me. I had to make sure that
and before
the email was dated correctly.
I come on this morning, and he's like, the Iowa Derby from 2020. So I think
the Iowa Derby's not even graded anymore.
He's a sharp guy. It's a grade 3 now, so it was listed last year.
Wow.
A couple of things I want to get to before we show. Let me know in a 2-turn listed stakes race from last year, and now it's a 7-furlong race. I love this effort by the loser, based on the judges. But what I want to say is, and we try and advocate for we the bettors and making this game better. Sometimes people think I'm beating up. It's like, if we make a better product, we'll have more fans. There's a disqualification in this race. I'm telling you that beforehand because I'm guessing not everybody in our audience.
When did it occur? Can we get it rolling?
In the stretch.
Okay.
But when you watch this pan shot, and the first point I want to make is, I couldn't get the head on, which is I would think it would be most available on a race where there's a DQ. So please watch this Iowa Derby. I'll talk through it. We'll be looking at, let me get my notes. I think it's number 6 in the Blue Silks. And just run it whenever they run it. This is last year's Iowa Derby. We're last into the starting gate, short field. We're on the outside. And these are the types of races that it's not even close to me who ran the best race. Forget the judges. So now we're on the engine. You can look at the internal fractions, 23, 46, 110. I think, no, I don't make notes at Prairie Meadows except for the big weekend when they run their races. But that's racehorse time, and it's all me. And then I'm going to get the worst of it, which is now I'm going to have horses inside and outside eventually of me. But this guy, well within himself, just takes it to these runners, which I love. And now we're going 7/8, which I think is going to transfer very nicely his rooting speed. My point is, he gets run up on the inside. He never gets a breather. Never once. Nick Sko got a breather. Now he made his own breather, he got a breather. But this guy is a 3-year-old going 46 and change. He never stops. This is like how Skip Away used to run. Always running. It's like not too many horses do that. So now you're saying, well, he finishes 5th.
He's last.
There's no way. He was on the outside. This guy finishes. They're at the quarter pole. Acre, comes up on the outside in the familiar Claiborne Silks. There's no way I'm in this. And now somewhere in here, as you're watching the pan shot, is the interference. I don't have a head on. I don't get it. Even if I saw the head on, I'm like, wow. We have seen between us 20,000 races. Usually you see something. So now I see the pan and I'm like, because I didn't remember it. I can't get the head on, but the horse used early energy to get position, was run at the 5/16 pole, inside, outside, and only the judges beat him. And I'm not so sure. And if anybody can find a head on,
and he's just off the pace today. We'll get to this race.
And I just think the 7 furlong race, it shapes up. He's got the type of energy. He's going to be around close enough, and I like him finishing the race.
Plenty of foundation, too.
Yeah.
One more, and we talked about this on the Handicappers Report. Let's show Group Hug in his lone turf start.
Right, down it.
For Ian Wilkes at Gulfstream this winter.
Number 7 in green silks. The silks that would kind of remind people of Padua Stables or Purdue. I think it was Padua.
And now he'll make his first start on the turf for Mike Maker, who's winning everything up here. The finale today is
so that's me 7. I've already lost position. It would be an inside joke to say this is my champagne room type of pick, which is something happens here that rarely happens to our benefit. They go to a goofy shot for regular race watchers, but it helps us. We are in between the 7. Clearly the horse wants to run. Wait till you see this field level shot that's usually useless, I think.
Oh, that's the one, that new one they bring up on the back. Yeah, there
Here we go. Like, but it helps us in this rare case that you'll see me with the head, like this is no comfort.
Right.
I don't know if it's a boy or girl if I look under the hood, but generally speaking, when their head is doing that,
it's not a good thing.
It's not positive. But I've got the position. I lost position right away. I tugged on my jockey into the first turn. I'm getting no help on the backside. This is usually recipe for disaster. I won't say destruction, but disaster. I'm still tugging, but the jock does a good job because Junior Alvarado's like, I got no place to go. I can't use any energy yet. And then in horse racing, especially turf racing, there becomes a point when it just doesn't matter. I can't wait forever. He does get out a little bit, finishes up. But one point we have agreed on and try and make with regularity is the first furlong of most horse races is far more important than the last one. He lost position immediately. He tugged trying to get in. He's not supposed to have much left. He doesn't really, but he runs okay enough. Now he comes back. He draws a good post position. Hopefully he gets a little bit better break with Ricardo Santana, the Mike Maker juggernaut. It's a wide open race. I liked his effort there. I thought he had multiple times not positive things happen to him.
And still ran on
in the race, and he ran representatively well. The winner was, I wrote it down, but was 30 to 1 on the front end every step. So my Group Hug did okay.
All right, let's take our first break here on the
You don't want me to keep talking?
Racing Across America. Well, you're going to keep talking when we come back, because you're going to spin these replays into your tries, which have been pretty successful. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the West. I'm Scott Varley at Saratoga's latest and greatest high-rise luxury condo. Starting in the mid-5s, every condo here has 2 bedrooms and 2 baths and upgrades, just like this. Check out these oversized private balconies. We also have a gym, a private lounge, and get this, a heated parking garage. To make a reservation for your private condo at the West, call or text me. I'm Scott Varley at 518-281-6808.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
For 4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Racing Across America. Brian and Anthony doing double duty here with you. And this is the gambler's version. So Anthony just spun out 3 replays.
The 3 horses on team today.
Late pick 4, all of them in the late pick 4 and late pick 5, which I think is pretty cool. And now you're going to actually put them into play.
If I knew how to play, it'd be pretty cool. But since I don't, it won't be.
Now you're going to put them into play into these tries that you've mapped out throughout the course of the meet. Struck big earlier in the meet, and they've been pretty good. So let's put Traffic Lane into play here. This is your kind of vintage Anthony Mormino trifecta.
And one of these things that I recognize is, I think the type of race we talked, particularly the 7th and the 10th. The 10th we love, might be a Hall of Fame type race at Saratoga, and the 7th has a 4-1 favorite. I think for horizontal players, they have to be like hitting your head on a 2x4.
Tough races.
But for me, they're like salvation, because really I'm focused on pick a winner, map out a decent card, hope somebody tries really hard in the 3rd slot, and make your day. And I just think that's an easier thing than what horizontal's got to go through. So I like Traffic Lane, who I brought up second time. You know, maybe I'm going to get more pace. I don't know, but it's 7 versus 6. So he's who I like. Now the advantage for me in these types of races are that the favorites here I'm not afraid of, and Thief of Hearts. So I think I'm going to sit off.
Let's take a look at that try that he's got.
Oh, you got it up there? Yeah.
If we've got it pulled up, because you're probably playing against that horse a little bit, right?
And we'll also discuss why race 8 has a little difference. I'll talk why it should have a little bit of a difference. But to me, and number 6 is Love Me Tomorrow. He's the outsider that I said that could keep part of this. I don't need her to really run any better than 3rd would light me up. 2nd would really be beneficial. But I'm taking my key horse that I think sits well. Is she really going to be $14?
There's a lot of different ways you can go in here.
That's right, and that's what's helpful. So, and remember, when there's 6 or higher, you bet them to win, and that's supposed to cover your exotic play in case I don't make the ticket right. So, Thief of Hearts, I'm wondering, coming out of starter allowance, holds on for a small piece. He's 10-1 in the morning. She's 10-1 in the morning line. And then, as I said about the 3rd place, well, that's the all button for me. But if Love Me Tomorrow shows some early speed and stays on, Broken Clock is right twice. Amity Island, who is my key.
Steve Bick's play of the day.
Steve Bick's play of the day is actually, clearly what I think will happen is 4 over the 2-5 all.
Right. Now,
but your bankroll allows you to make decisions.
Of course.
And
now,
go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to get to the next.
And if I was going to play it, I will say this. If I was to reverse it because the bankroll is good, I'm not playing the 6 to win.
No.
It would be a 2-5 over the 4 overall. It's not a complete reversal.
She can't win.
Because the 6 cannot win in my book.
Now, I was surprised when you sent me these that the 8th was in your wheelhouse. Because there is only 6 horses, so this is a little different.
Well, I want to be always, one of the promises I made, to be honest with our audience is paramount to what I do. Even it's the second one we're showing, but that's because of the order. This was, it was the best of 8 that I didn't really fancy.
Okay.
And I thought it also allowed me to display something. I do love Let Me Know today.
Right.
It's a short field, so there's problems with that. We don't talk often about betting just to win. Well, if Let Me Know is 4-1, I would be interested. But when the fields are short, you have to pare down your ticket. They can't be as big. And if I had to, it's almost a one-punch 4-1, like a $15 try, 4 over the 1-2 all type of thing. You just can't spread that much. If I had to bet an exacta, it'd be a one-punch 4-1 because of what I think the prices will be. But I do love Let Me Know, but it's not a great area. I mean, I'm probably looking at, even if I get the 1 in there, I don't know. Well, they put it up as a 50-cent try, so it might be a $24 try. Right, so in my days, it'd be a $100 try, and I could go for a $100 try in a short field where I like the horse
times or something. Yeah, and this is one of those one of those don't look for something that's not there, where I've talked about it in the pick 5. That's not the case today when I talk about it. Now, race 10 is a doozy.
This is what a trifecta
You are out
player.
for the meat if you hit race 10.
This is it.
And show this ticket now, guys, because this might be the best, literally might be the best race of the meet, betting wise.
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, we're starting the second half with a race that when we come to bet races, only the people that win this race are going to be talking about this race in 3 days. But this is what makes horse racing great.
This is what makes Saratoga. Like, this is the race, right?
Full field of 12, and some will poo-poo it, maiden claimers. They can shut up. 10 in the main body are running for a tag the first time. And I love Group Hug. And when I say I love, it's a wide open race, and I have a $14 horse that I think is in the mix. I don't think he's winning by 3, but I'm like, this is the guy I want. And now, if your bankroll is really big, you could play this a lot of ways, but I'm not trying to complicate it. And you have a 10-1 underneath, a 15-1. This is almost what I'd like to see is, can you see a trifecta, and I guess I got to divide because 50 cents, paying less than $400?
Probably not, especially if the 3 is not involved or on the bottom of the rung. Because if the 3 doesn't win, and he certainly doesn't have to win, your winner is like in the $11 to $14 range. And then who the heck knows what happens underneath.
Everybody else just falls in. I mean,
they fall in.
This race, who in the main body of
the
12,
1 can't win.
The 1, okay, and would you say the 10? I wouldn't say that about the 10,
No.
but the 1.
The 1.
The 1. 11 horses can win this race.
And when 11 horses can win this race,
and
that
we,
means they
and
can
we just
run
threw out the
second or
horse
third.
who might get the shortest trip.
Right, right, with the rails down.
With the rails down.
So this is a trifecta race, and obviously Anthony's got a strong opinion on.
Yes,
Group
I
Hug.
like Group Hug. I mean, I'm surprised after that race that it took. They tried to get to the turf at Saratoga, but I'm surprised after that effort. It went to the Mike Maker barn, and Mike Maker's pretty smart.
And this is before we take another break here, I just want you to talk for 20 seconds about the all ball too, because this is a race you have to use the all ball.
You can not survive in this game from a sandy standpoint. You can survive your bankroll because you just refortify. But no one's this smart. Certainly, the person on the right-hand side of this stage isn't that smart. This is everybody, all 12 can run third.
Yes.
Well,
and you can't.
If you believe that, and that's that is the right belief here. You got to stop and go, listen, I'm going to be extremely fortunate, A, to find the winner, B, to be in the field for the exacta. You eventually have to stop, and you stop because the reward is going to be so great.
You can't not use the all ball here.
You can't have this exacta and not have the trifecta.
Because you're trying to get cute.
And that's what you'd be doing, because there's only a difference of like 20.
Exactly.
How many would you leave off? 4?
Yeah, you can't do it.
Well, that's $12.
Can't do it. All right, another break here on Racing Across America. When we come back, we're going to look at this late pick 5 in that ABC sequence. It's a doozy today. Stay tuned.
Set now for the juvenile fillies, turf. 14 of them across the track. Is sent on their way. And the dance on the outside, broke a little sideways with Pro KK, but meanwhile it's going to be stopped. But running on now, and Somali Lemonade's got 8 to make up. They come to the top of the lane. Stop shopping, Maria's got a lot left. Stop shopping, Maria goes on. Sweet Cat is right there. On not to right. Royal Body is running on. Past the 8 ball way comes. Stop shopping, Maria for the run. Still under a hand ride as they come to the 16th. Stephanie's Kitten coming out late. Yes, Stephanie's Kitten coming fast. Stephanie's Kitten, stop shopping, Maria. Stephanie's Kitten's watered. away they go. Watched the chances, broke smartly, but so did Terra from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern the Grey going well. If he can get through. Sky Lantern the Grey looking for somewhere to run. Wide open. It's Terra from the Cape hanging on. Terra from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be Watch the Chances, Summer of Fun, coming on to finish third.
Back to the Thursday edition of Racing Across America. Brian and Anthony with you, and it's a gambler's version, and Anthony showed some replays and some tries, and we're going to get into this ABC Pick 5 ticket, late Pick 5 today, which is a brute of a sequence. I'm on record as saying when you and Seth do the handicappers report on Friday morning, tomorrow morning, you'll be talking about a Pick 6 carryover, because I think it's that kind of sequence. The Pick 5 today is races 6 through 10, the last 5 of the day, obviously.
How are you getting through the first leg?
It's impossible. It kicks off with
How are
a
you getting through the
state-bred
first and last leg?
maiden special weight going 5.5 on the turf. And this is very important in general, but it's very, very important today. Make sure you do your work here and check the tote board and the odds. There are several first-time starters. 1, 2, I think you said 7. 8, actually.
Only the 1 and 5 have run field of 10.
There are 8 first-time starters. There's an Arrogate out of the damn Artemis Agriterra, who won the Ballerina up here, who already dropped Chestertown, who they paid $2 million for. That's the 9 Adversity. You got to check the tote board here. Skyward Princess for Chad is a firster from the outside. Let's take a look at the grid, Bri, and I'm going to show everybody.
Can't wait. How many C's are involved?
There's not a ton of C's because the A's are dominating the sequence, okay? And it's a very expensive sequence.
I got to take a picture of this with my phone.
This is the type of sequence it is. Now, my best bet is in race 8, so I can afford to be a little spready in the other 4 legs, okay? But there you see the B's as well. You can see what kind of sequence this is, okay? It's a monster sequence. And in the past few weeks, I've had sequences that I've talked about where I think I had
400 on the 6 to win.
I had a $24 all A sequence, okay, a couple weeks ago, because that was the old take what they give you kind of sequence. I remember you saying that. That is not today. There you see it. 3 by 5, that's 15. By 4 is 60. By 6 is 360. It's a $180 all A ticket. Then you got to infuse your B's. And this is a great sequence to talk about the C's now. Now this is the first ticket, and you can see, no pun intended, you can see SEE that I have C's in race 7 and C's in race 8. And as I've talked about in this segment many times, there's a major fallacy with C-level tickets in that you can't just swap them out with the A's and have $1 to your name, because it's going to be such a huge ticket. So, Bri, if you would, put the second ticket up. And this is what I call the Super A ticket, okay? So we're going to use the C's in race 7 and the C in race 8.
How often do you have a single as an A and still have a C in that race?
Well, kind of quite often.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Because I don't think
school for me.
Right. And I think when you have a single, you don't necessarily want to, you can't have 7 B's. If you have a single, you should be pretty tight. So this is the Super A ticket, okay? And what that is, and to me, it corrects the major flaw in the C-level ticket, okay? What it does is it narrows down my A's into what I call the Super A's. So in race 6, I had 4 A's. In race 7, I believe I had 5 A's. Well, here's the Super A's, and what the Super A's do is they make the C-level horses affordable, okay? So I said in race 7, my C's were 3-8. In race 8, my C was 3. So when you change them, it now makes the ticket much more affordable. I can get to a C-level ticket in race 7, 3 by 2 is 6, by 3 is 18, by 3 is 54, $27 for a C-level ticket. $13.50 on a C-level ticket in race 8. You should not be spending 20% of your bankroll on C-level tickets.
That seems quite, that would be
I've
like
said
you
many times.
C's have got to be
C's are once
single
a week.
percentage. Like,
thank you.
You can't have 20%.
And if you dope it out with a quote-unquote proper way that people tell you to do it, your C's are going to be exponentially more than 10, 15% of your particular play. And that's just not, it's not good business.
Now, I have to ask this question.
Go ahead.
Is there, because the second part of this equation is very important. It's as important is the payoff. If there's a correlation of the C's at 15% with the payoffs, then the math says it does fall in line. Now, I've never done this. I've sort of decided that I am going to do some type of work on this after the Breeders' Cup until we meet again. With that, because that's important. If the C's blow it up, like my 30-1 shot Bourbon Thunder, they're what makes the all button in the trifecta. The entry kills me, and I'm playing this whole meet differently. So I have to.
This is a great discussion. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm going to give a perfect example yesterday. I told you yesterday, the name escapes me, but Chad's horse in the finale couldn't lose.
Clever fellow.
Clever fellow. Thank you. Could not lose. My pick 6 play yesterday with the syndicate that I run was large. Not 1 cent was played against that horse. Okay? 100% of the play. There were no backups. There were no Bs. There were no Cs. Now, when I run this group, I always say everybody's got a say. I'm not the dictator here. You're giving.
There has to be a managing partner.
You're depositing. Oh, correct. But you're depositing money, and that means you have a say. So a couple people said, "Hey, can we get this horse in the finale?" And I did the work, and it was $126 to play C's in the finale.
You didn't call me?
But to get to $126, I had to pare down the first 5 races so significantly that it was like 1,000,000 to 1. So I said to the group, I can't make this work.
But you might have gotten paid that because it was $1 million too.
I can't make this work, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. If we are fortunate enough to be alive after 3 legs, I will play a pick 3 with those 8 horses in the last race. And it was going to be a 5 by 4 by 8 pick 3.
Which I believe we don't talk about that so much. You have to. I mean, to me, it's like that's the edge with exactas to trifectas and with.
If you're talking about a pick 3 in C levels, your argument comes into play. You're talking about a pick 5/pick 6, especially in the nightcap where you have to hit 4 or 5 races to get there. It's not worth it. It was not worth $126, which was like 5%.
And I will say this.
And I said, I can't make this work.
A horse like Clever Fellow is one of the last type of horses I want to rely on. I want to rely on group hug.
Sure.
More today than a Clever Fellow, but
that's where the C's. You have to look at it as a whole. And yesterday, it did not make sense to use C's in the last race because when you have so many A's like we showed today, you have to pare down significantly to get there. You have to have the day of your life. And 5 races is, as you know, way harder than 2 races. So if you're talking about C's in a pick 3, okay, we can work that in.
As a public handicapper,
pick 5s and 6s.
Who's probably done 3,000 of these shows? I'm very sure I've never had 5 on top winners. Now, obviously, I pick races in a different way, except on Saturdays now. But that's different. Only one person was supposed to get that joke, and they got it, so that's good. But you know what I think we should do one day, because I'd be in that boat of the TV audience? I think we should show them where the dollars just explode.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
to the group. Math. Like I know, yes, but it's. I think it's like. I think it would be a good exercise to show them like how we talk about. It's like no, just adding a horse here or there when it just in a trifecta it doesn't hurt to throw in 4 more horses in the bottom leg, which is why I suggest the all button. It's $12 more.
Right.
It's not the case. In horizontals, you're like, oh my God, this is. And then what do? You turn around, you start paring it down, and then you start hitting yourself with 2x4s in the head when one of the pairs wins.
And so it's like, all right, I can get you to your C's, but we have 0 coverage to get there. So what are the actual chances we get there? Not very good, especially on a sequence like today that looks like an absolute bear. And so, all right, yes, I'd like to use some C's too.
Is today the day you more rely on your handicapping because it's such a bear? It's like, I'm not chasing it financially today. I'd be like, it's so hard today. If I have 3 winners in 3 inscrutable races, but I get group hug, I get let me know, and I get them, then the other 2 races I go crazy. And for $48, I'm in it. If
well, that's fair if you have the day of your life.
I don't.
Sure,
well,
there's
3 races.
There's something to say for that.
3 races is within my scope.
I think it was Steve Chris that said the gray area, and this is the $2 pick 6, I believe he was talking about. The area is between 64 and like
256.
One more, 512. Thank you for the number because those are common numbers.
Yes.
If you're playing in the middle,
cavemen.
Yeah. If you're playing in between 64,
you're dead.
You're just throwing money away because you have as good a chance. It sounds dumb. You have just as good a chance of hitting it. Yes. So if you just want to throw 64 away, that's okay. It's not going to kill you. If you want to throw 424 away, that's silly because it's kind of the same as 64. It sounds weird, but it's kind of you have just as good a chance because you're saying you're in the gray area. Now, if you want to put more than 512 in, you're really giving yourself a chance. Anything between is like throwing money away.
I agree, and I think there is a correlation you can make with the trifecta thing too. It's almost the opposite. The trifecta is almost like you should spend a little bit more.
Sure.
Because you're betting on horses who run third, and as a collective group, we almost think
you only
every horse on the card can run third.
All right, that's going to wrap it kind of, sort of, here on the Thursday edition of Racing Across America. But as we send you to break, we've got Seth talking to Anthony Stabile, little Pat McKenna, the Director of Communications at NYRA, kind of overseeing that breakfast at Saratoga that they brought back, a little backyard work with that Mick and Bry shot, I believe, with some B-roll and the tram and stuff like that.
And the tractor.
And the tractor, yeah, we can't leave without doing that either. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't done that before, look into it. It's fascinating. It gives you a different idea of what you can see.
More than look into it, do it. There's no
Just
way
like the Hall of
you're
Fame,
going to
by the
hit Capital OTB and say Mormino was all washed up. That was the worst 2 hours of my life.
Absolutely. Good luck today. Enjoy it. Hope to see you up here. Anthony will be back tomorrow. I'll see you next week. Thank you.
For 4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Our friend Anthony Stabile, of course, you see him the pregame show every NYRA Racing Day with Andy, and we came to talk a little bit about breakfast and your new experience up here at Saratoga. But before we do that, we have to hit on a little Goonie golf, because a few days ago, you and Mr. Serling squared off for some Goonie golf, some mini golf up in Lake George. Give us the result, but more importantly, as opposed to the score, also talk about the money you raised, which was incredible.
The result, Seth, was not what I expected. I told them they were bringing a knife to a gunfight, them being Kirk Wyckoff from Three Diamonds Farm and Andy Serling. And this started out as me and Andy going on an off day to play a little miniature golf, and Kirk texted Andy during the July 18th edition of Talking Horses and said, hey, I'll put up $5,000 for the TRF. I'll play with one of you guys. One of you guys get a partner. So Andy, took Kirk, obviously. I went to my great friend, Louis Lazzanaro of Nove, and, brought up the idea. He thought it was a great idea. And Louis doesn't do things one way. Louis only knows how to do things big. If you've been to the restaurant, the portions are big, the food's amazing. So, and basically, it's funny, it's not even like we did much. People just started coming into Nove, and it was like, hey, what can we do here? And they started writing checks, essentially. And when you do this, there's no such thing as a small donation. But $100,000 is something that you don't really, it's me and Andy's one of my best friends, but it's two guys who went from spending, a few hours, maybe run to Martha's, get an ice cream, maybe run to Nova, have a little lunch afterwards. It went from that. Kirk planted a seed. Louis and the Nove family grew it into a money tree.
It started out just sort of kidding around on Talking Horses with Anthony and I, saying we'd play mini golf and we'll do it try to raise a couple dollars. And Kirk Wyckoff at Three Diamonds Farm got some good karma because he's the leading owner now. And he texted me right away and said, I'll put up $5,000 to donate to Thoroughbred Retirement Fund if Anthony can find a backer. And Louis Lazzanaro, who owns the restaurant Nove outside of town, to know Louis is to love him, he jumped right in and said, I'm in. And then he said, I'll give some more money to other charities. And they got other people in racing involved who gave anonymously, and we raised $100,000 for some wonderful charities to help both the people that make this race, this industry go on the backstretch, and the horses that make the game go. So it was really a great day and a great moment. We had a lot of fun, but we did raised a lot of money from some nice people. So thanks to everybody that contributed. It was really a good thing.
It was nuts.
And it's nuts is the right word. I mean, it was more nuts that the final was 91-76, and that knife to a gunfight. It was like I brought pizza bread from Nove as opposed to my gun. The guy, Kirk Wyckoff, shot 9 under in mini golf. That's unheard of. I've played more mini. Listen, I'm a fat guy sport expert. Nobody shoots 9 under in mini golf. Nobody. Kirk Wyckoff did, and they got the money. Andy has the ball. It's on set every day at Talking Horses. I don't know. I'm going to stare at that little green ball for the rest of my life, but it represents something that is truly, truly amazing. The TRF, Old Friends Cabin Creek, the Racetrack Chaplaincy, and the BCCA, which is near and dear to my heart. I'm on the advisory board. So for those 4 great charities to really benefit from, again, 2 really good friends and colleagues just killing a Monday in the spa and up at Lake George. It's pretty amazing.
All great racing-related charities. And, yeah, you may have come out on the short end of the scorecard, but I will congratulate you and Andy for an idea that I remember you kind of hatched like 3 weeks ago on the show.
Yeah.
$100,000 you guys raised.
No real loser,
yeah,
says the loser.
All right, and it looks like maybe an annual affair, yes?
Yes. We're going to do it back. Louis trying to back out a little bit. Louis originally said, you go find a new partner. But, last night at Nova, he was already like, well, maybe next year. And I was like, I got him. So this will be like Rocky Apollo 2.
Yeah,
ain't going to be no rematch. Don't want one? There'll be a rematch.
All right, we'll look for that next year. But as I say, we came here to talk breakfast. We're sitting up in your breakfast spot here, box seats, as you narrate the morning that's going on. Before we talk about the fan experience, I'd just like to get your experience because you're a longtime racetracker. Saratoga breakfast is a tradition. How much fun is it for you to be doing the breakfast?
It's been amazing. I've been doing it at Belmont for the last 5 years. Obviously, last year, because of the COVID, we didn't have it. And we didn't bring it back this spring as well. And when they offered me the gig up here, we kind of talked about how, it was going to be the first experience back. And literally and figuratively, the first experience back. We started opening day, and when those gates opened at 7 o'clock, the first event you had at Saratoga for the 2021 season and welcoming the fans back was breakfast at Saratoga. There was a shroud of fog covering the racetrack when we walked in. I was like, oh boy, this is not a good omen to kick this thing off. And then we had 2,000 people here that Saturday. So things are great. I love doing this gig. This is one of my favorite gigs. It's a little different up here. Down at Belmont, I would say the split is like 40-60 adults to kids. This is more of like a date. I actually had a couple of 18-year-olds come over to me, and we have some giveaways here, some stuff for the kids. TRF, Kim and the gals left me some stuff, some quick call stuff, and young teenager comes walking over and goes, I'm on a first date. Can I grab one of these hats? And it was like, it warmed my heart. Like, it's amazing up here. And I mean, it's a great start to the day. Now, I've been in the game my whole life. I decided to go on the media side of things because when I was a kid, I found out very early, I was allergic to 5:30. I wanted nothing to do with being on the backstretch. But this has been a remarkable experience, a lot of fun. We play a lot. We play some trivia. We ask the trivia questions. Bob Giordano does the saddle towel guide. We give those out. We try to have them stump stabile. And you guys know. Thank you to Capital OTV and everybody over there. First year we're actually simulcasting the signal out and gotten a lot of great feedback from that as well. So yeah, it's been a fantastic experience for me. It's helped me lose some weight too because it keeps me out of the bars.
There you go. Breakfast is 7 to 9:30 every day, and take us through for folks who maybe haven't had a chance to come over and experience it yet. What is the fan experience at breakfast?
Gates open at 7. That's when the running of the bulls comes. So you can get your table, come to breakfast. There's a buffet available on the porch. $20 for adults, $12 for kids 12 and under. Here's the biggest long shot so far of the meat. I haven't eaten from the buffet yet, but I've been told the food is amazing.
Looks great.
I can tell you the coffee, that's an empty coffee cup. The coffee's great. That gets me going in the morning. And then the buffet's open until 9:30. We start tram tours. The tram is great. You take a tour of the backstretch. There's a paddock demonstration with a pony. We go over some of the equipment that's used by the trainers and jockeys and exercise riders in the afternoons and the morning. That's over by Clare Court. It's part of the tour. And then when you come back, there's a starting gate demonstration. You actually get to go into the gate and break out of the starting gate and see what it's like for our wonderful thoroughbreds in the afternoon. You can watch the horses train until 10 o'clock. I wrap things up at 9:30. You can watch the horses train until 10 o'clock, and then we ask you to leave. Johnny I comes on with the most famous, ladies and gentlemen, please get out of our building. He says it in a nicer way than I do. You come back in at 11 for admission, and then we kick off the 40 days here at the spot. It's been a lot of fun, and it is a fantastic program. Like I said, it's more adults up here than kids. If you fans out there want to start raising the next generation and to become fans of this sport, this is a great program to do it.
Yeah, Anthony, we appreciate the time setting you up for talking a little bit about breakfast because I wanted to let people know early in the meet, if you haven't been here yet, come up and experience and watch the horses work out. And you kind of narrate the horses as they go by too as well.
Yeah, the biggest difference in the morning is you guys, if you're watching at home on the Capitol signal, in the afternoons you see the jockey silks, you see the numbers. I mean, it's very easy. As a racetrack announcer, those are the two ways I identify them. But in the morning, it's a little different. That saddle towel guides that we get from Bob, they help you figure out, because trainers will use their initials. So Chad Brown will use the white CB against the navy blue backdrop. Bill Mott, Hall of Famer Bill Mott, he uses a white diamond against a green backdrop. So some guys and gals like to use their initials. Some like to use a symbol. We have that saddle towel guide to kind of help you differentiate. And after 3 weeks, I kind of know most of them, so it's become old hat already.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's just a great experience. If you haven't been up here yet, it's part of the Saratoga tradition, so we recommend you coming up. Anthony, we appreciate the time.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks for everything. Hope to see everybody out at Breakfast at Saratoga.
Joined now by Pat McKenna, Director of Communications here at NYRA. Pat, good morning.
Good morning.
And it is morning. We're here at Saratoga. I know we talked a little bit as we were approaching the meet and then as we got into opening day and whatnot. One of the traditions that we were missing last year is back this year, Breakfast at Saratoga. You know, you look at the crowd, there's a lot of, clearly you can tell, new fans, young fans, part of the tradition. Talk about how important bringing back breakfast was to the Racing Association.
Incredibly important. Having grown up in upstate New York myself, having come to the track since I was a little kid, I think some of my first memories are Breakfast at Saratoga. I think it's a really great way to introduce young people to the sport. It's a much more casual and accessible kind of environment than you get during an intense afternoon here at the track. It's also a really kind of a cool way to be able to sit in the boxes, to see horses training in their own element. I mean, so many people are unfamiliar with a variety of aspects of thoroughbred racing, and to see these athletes, I think some of the exercise riders, people like Rudy Rodriguez, really engaging the crowd. So important to bring it back. It's great this year that Anthony Stabile can provide some additional information. Plenty of folks would look out there and rightly say, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. It's beautiful. These horses, you know, everything's wonderful. But, you know, for him to be able to provide some additional information, some context to what you're seeing, and you're right, it's something that's unique to Saratoga. I'm sure other tracks do it. We do a little bit of it down at Belmont, but nowhere is it embraced like right here at the spot.
And talk about the actual fan experience, 7 to 9:30 in the morning. You kind of mentioned there's the buffet downstairs, but folks can come in, free admission, come in, sit in the box seats and take advantage of that kind of a special look at the racetrack as well. But also, unique to breakfast, you get a access to the backstretch as well.
That's right, the backstretch tour. I'm glad you mentioned that because, again, that's a behind the scenes, lift the curtain kind of experience, and it's important that it's open to the public. You can pay for breakfast downstairs, but you can also bring your coffee in. You know, pop yourself here in a box wherever your favorite spot might be. I mean, certainly see some of the stars of the sport. You know, again, it's important for Anthony to be able to explain to new fans, to young people, you know, when you see an influx of trainers, what exactly is happening. And there's so many intricacies of a sport like thoroughbred racing that it's just a great way to get involved. Again, I hear from so many people who will tell me that the first memory they have of Saratoga is of coming with their family or their mom or their dad, sitting down on the porch, having breakfast and watching training.
Yeah, again, for folks who haven't been, it's great to come out here in the morning. It's a different side of the game. I think you'll have a lot of fun. Pat, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
We get to sit here and we watch the horses come by, and the rider shows the horse off to us so that we can see him running almost sideways at times, brings it over to the fence, waves to the little kids. This is a joy. This is I think, well, this is, I'm sure, is a big part of racing, but this is a fun part.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The Leah Auto Group, Leah Cars for life. Find them on the web at leahcars.com. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State. And the Clubhouse Racebook. Can't make it to the track? Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.